Shabbat Shalom. What a beautiful way to come in. It's so nice to, so what are we, is this Tizmeret today?
Members of Tizmeret.
Members of Tizmeret.
We had just found out last week that Paul has some great event that he's going to tonight, so I just put the word out. I said, who can join us tonight? If you can come to rehearsal on Thursday, we'll pull it together for Friday. So we're here. That's why we're kind of like in a circle. Yeah, we just popped up, right. So we're kind of like in a circle, really like easy going tonight. Can you hear all the instruments? We didn't really get a chance to do a sound check. Can everybody hear everything? Guitar and bass and everything? Yeah? All right, good. Thank you.
Not only can we hear them, but I think everyone wanted to get up and dance.
Yeah, oh, that is allowed and appreciated and recommended.
So, Shabbat Shalom. We have some newcomers tonight, so we'll just get in the rhythm if you want to just feel like you belong here. And I'm looking over here at my friend Max. Just say Shabbat Shalom. It works perfectly. Oh, there we go. See, we're so delighted to have everyone here tonight. Let's take a nice deep breath of Shabbat air. And let's take a moment really to center ourselves on where we are, what we're doing here. Let's remember the many activities of the week, the many people we met, the many things that happened in the world. Let's try to take with us something, maybe a small thing or maybe a large thing that you want to hold on to And let's take something we also want to get rid of. Every week has a clutter, and it's important that we take those things, those little precious things, and the others we get rid of, like the little bit of winter we got. We can get rid of that a little bit. All right, let's take a nice deep breath of Shabbat. We'll breathe in what we want to hold on to, and we'll breathe out what we want to get rid of. So I'm gonna really try to be conscious. We're moving into this new phase with the virus going around. So I think maybe we'll be in a no. This is very hard for me. A no handshake zone as best we can. I think we should probably start practicing for that. Okay. So I'm gonna fist pump. That could
elbow
work.
bumps too?
Elbow. We can do anything like this, but we're gonna start preparing. I just saw an article that my brother-in-law shared. He said religious institutions have the hardest time with not, shaking hands and being friendly. So we're not going to take it as a sign of rudeness. We're going to just adjust to the current environs. So this is a really special night. I want to first congratulate our chili makers and everyone who brought food for our potluck. So raise your hand if you did. If you were part of it. They're already in the kitchen. They're cleaning up. Right? So I know Robert and Mark were maybe the main. I saw it was crazy. So Mark Finkelstein came in the other day. He said, I'm all ready to make chili. He had black beans that were this big. Oh, the funniest thing was the hamburger meat. Now, usually when I buy hamburger meat, it's about like this. This was like this. It was industrial strength. Did you?
No, I missed that.
It's like this. And the black beans, was a jar like this. I thought that I got big black beans that are, I don't know, the 32-ounce ones, right?
He said it was a recipe for 100.
Oh, my gosh. Yeah, there's still more left. So afterwards, I'm sure we'll have that.
Chili for Oneg.
We are also really, really delighted. We're going to bring Shiri up in a little bit, but Shiri Kester, who many of you are familiar with, have seen her around quite a bit. She has been our youth group advisor for nearing, I guess, 6 years or so. And that's right, yeah. Almost our entire existence. Shir Shalom. She's seen the kids. This is crazy. She's seen them grow up. You see who's sitting next to her? Nick Lowinger, right? When she started, Nick was in about 9th or 10th grade. Is that right? And now he's all the way into college. So he's grown quite a bit. So and Nick is an older student, but we have other students that really shot up over that time. So the youth group advisor stays the same height. All the kids, this is exactly what happens to Cantor and I, right? For bar and bat mitzvahs. It's amazing. I mean,
You don't see them for a while, and they're like, I don't know, 6 inches taller, right? Over the summer.
Yeah, then you don't even recognize them. So we're really happy to be able to celebrate with her. And we also have Max Donatelli here from End the Stigma, someone who I've gotten to know recently. Wonderful person. He and I will have a conversation later in the service, and we're going to learn about it as part of Jewish Disability Awareness Month. And we're going to have a poem by Camilla also towards the end of the service. We're glad for that as well. So why don't we have a reading at the beginning on page 15. And I'm going to invite up our synagogue president, Bruce Corris, here at the top for a responsive reading.
Thank you. Shabbat Shalom. Reminder, by the way, we're having a special on front row seats. They're buy one, get one free. I'm told that the seats in the rear are not kosher, so you might want to move up a little bit. When we're intimate like this, it's always better to have more people in the front. Entering this sanctuary responsibly. Each of us enters this sanctuary with a different need. Some hearts are full of gratitude and joy. Some hearts ache with sorrow. Some hearts are embittered. Some spirits hunger. May we, in our common need and striving, gain strength from one another as we share our joys and lighten each other's burdens.
Okay, I'd like to bring up Shiri and her parents, actually, Dan and Ganilla, also very active in our community, for candle lighting. When we light candles, it's on page 25 in our prayer books. When we light our Shabbat candles, we bring a little piece of our home in. So I think that we have a little bit of the Kester household here, and that's wonderful. There are matches. There we go, yeah. Hopefully not too bad. Oh, we're running out. Oh gosh, we better get some new ones. From the gift shop? Oh, we got only 4 more. That's if you're perfect and every single time we get them, we strike them out. Eloheinu melech haolam, asher kitshanu b'mitzvotav etzivanu la'asok. Oh, wrong prayer, sorry about that. Thank you, God. Blessed be God, King of the universe, for sanctifying the candles and preparing us for Shabbat. And right over there we have the Kiddush. If one of you could hold up the grape juice or wine. I actually don't know. Page 90, it'll be a surprise drink. That's like Nickel City Jews event, right? Page 90 is the words of the prayers at the bottom. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam, borei peri hagafen. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam, asher kitshanu b'mitzvotav v'ratzavanu, v'shabbat kodsho b'yava uvratzon hinchilanu, zikaron l'maaseh v'reishit, ki hu yom techila l'mikra'e kodesh, zecher l'tziat Mitzrayim, kivanu v'bacharta, v'otanu kidashta, im kol amim, v'shabbat kodshecha, v'yahava uvratzon, hinchaltanu, Baruch atah Adonai, mekadesh hashabbat. Amen. L'chaim. To life. And Ganilla will tell us if it's okay. I think she survived. I think it's okay. Thank you for bringing a little piece of your home into our space here. We all bring a little piece of ourselves, and thank you. Shabbat Shalom. We're going to turn to L'chad Odi, a welcoming song for Shabbat, which is on page 27.
Rabbi, there was Shalom Aleichem in there?
Oh, we can do Shalom
Aleichem.
Aleichem. Oh, yeah, let's do that. Sorry. Oh, I didn't know if that was Shalom Aleichem at the beginning. I'm sorry.
Oh, that's, what was that? Yeah, that was another. That was Hine Mato, but it had a Shalom Aleichem. You want to
okay.
skip it, it's
No,
okay.
no, let's definitely do it. Okay,
We just have the
let's welcome in the
music books
angels of
open.
Shabbat, then we'll welcome the bride. So that's on page 203, Shalom Aleichem, and then we'll get to welcoming the bride. Wonderful.
Shalom Aleichem, Malachei HaSharim, Malachei Elyon. Mimelech, Malachei Alachim, HaKadosh Baruch Hu.
great. So we're turning to Lechadodi on the bottom of 27. And we're going to sing the very first verse, Shamor v'Zachor. And then we're going to skip to the final verse, which is on page 30 at the bottom. Boi b'Shalom. On that last verse, we rise, we face the doorway. And after we bow to the Shabbat bride as she enters into the room, then we wish each other. Remember, this is the hard part. We're going to try without the handshaking. This is going to be the hardest for me. So we'll just try elbows or whatever works. Or just with our eyes are okay too. We could just go,
1, 2, 3, 2, 2, 3, 1, 3, 2, 2, 3. La 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 kadodi, la 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 bekala, la 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 b'nei Shabbat, b'nei Shabbat lekabela, la 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 kadodi, la 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 bekala, la 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 b'nei Shabbat, b'nei Shabbat lekabela. Shamor v'Zachor, v'dibor echad, Ishmiyanu et hamuchad, Adonai echad, U'shmo echad. M'shem hu tifer, v'hiv gidla. Yai lai lai, la 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 kadodi, la 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 likra kala, la 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 b'nei Shabbat, b'nei Shabbat lekabela. Boi v'Shalom, ateret badla, lam b'simcha, u'sohola, doch emunei, am segula. Boi kala, boi kala, yai lai lai, la la la
Welcome each other.
kadodi shmuz, la 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 likra kala, la 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 b'nei Shabbat, b'nei Shabbat lekabela, la 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 kadodi, la 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 likra kala, la 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 b'nei Shabbat,
All right, we remain standing before you sit down. I know it was, how many of you, that was pretty hard to do the elbows. I'm just trying to prepare you here.
Do
This is
hugs
coming
count?
through. I don't know, honestly.
Hugs are sanitary.
I think if we can get away from handshaking for a couple weeks, that probably will help. Let's go to the Baruch Hu, our call to prayer, page 34.
1, 2, 3, 4, 2, 2, 3, 4. La 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 la
Standing, and let's turn to 36, page double high, and we're going to read together in the English. Blessed are you who spins day into dusk. With wisdom watch the dawn gates open. With understanding let time and seasons come and go. With awe perceive the stars in lawful orbit. Morning dawns, evening darkens, darkness and light yielding one to the other, yet each distinguished and unique. Marvel at life, strive to know its ways. Seek wisdom and truth, the gateways to life's mysteries. Wondrous indeed is the evening twilight. I had a wonderful experience. It was a complete gray, cloudy sky, and you could see the sun. But it had to reach through the clouds. It was amazing. So we turn to the Shema, thinking about the miraculous in this world. That is on page 48.
1, 2, 3, 4, 2, 2, 3, 4. Shema Yisrael, Adonai Eloheinu, Adonai Echad. 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 Shem kavod malchuto, le'olam va'ed. Baruch Shem kavod malchuto, le'olam va'ed. Shema Yisrael, Adonai Eloheinu, Adonai Echad. Shema Yisrael, Adonai Eloheinu, Adonai Echad.
May be seated, and we're going to turn to the Via Hafta. Let's see, we got Lil over here. Would you like to come up? She's going to be leading on 49, and we're going to go right to 52. Yeah, we'll get you the right page. Oh. I passed right past it. Here we go.
V'ahavta et Adonai Elohecha v'kol levecha u'v'chol nafshecha u'v'chol me'odecha v'hayu ha'varim ha'ele Hashem Elohim misavecha hayom alevavecha v'shinantam lilanecha v'divatam bam v'shitecha v'techa v'letecha b'deret u'chatecha u'kumecha u'satam liyom noyadrecha v'hayu yutotafo bein einecha u'shatam Amizzo betecha u'visharecha leman tiseru ashiten ekomisotai litan tioshim leohehen ani Adonai Elohehen asher hotzetiachem Meretz Mitzrayim V'yotnahem Elohim Ani Adonai Elohim. Yeah, that.
Thank you, Lil. And Lil was in our youth group. You were in the youth group, right? I think so. We are going to continue with the Micha Mocha, our song of redemption, on page 64.
1, 2, 3, 4, 2, 2, 3, 4. I can't hear. Can you move closer? I can't hear. Okay. 1, 2, 3, 4, 2, 2, 3, 4.
Page 67, let's read together in English. May we live each day with fullness of mind that we might lie down in peace and rise up in love. May harmony be our way, and may we be attentive to life's good counsel. May we turn aside our enemies and dispel disease, violence, hunger, and pain. Let us seek shelter in each other's arms, and may mercy and compassion guide our lives. Let us be ever watchful as we come and go, that we might ever establish peace here, now, and forever. Blessed is the one who guards the peace of Israel in all the world. And if we look in our prayer book, let's see, we're on page 165. This is a prayer that often is sung at this time, Yismechu, which is about the joy of the Sabbath day. At the bottom there.
ישמחו במלכותך, שומרי, שומרי, שומרי שבת קורא עונג שבת. ישמחו במלכותך, שומרי, שומרי, שומרי שבת קורא עונג שבת. מקדשים, מקדשים שמי שבת, כולם ישמחו וישנגו מטובך שבת. Everyone! ישמחו במלכותך, שומרי, שומרי, שומרי שבת וקורא עונג שבת. ישמחו במלכותך, שומרי, שומרי, שומרי שבת וקורא עונג שבת. And Shabib, אותו קראת שבת. And Shabib, אותו קראת שבת. שבת ישמחו
במלכותך, שומרי, שומרי, שומרי שבת וקורא עונג שבת. ישמחו במלכותך, שומרי, שומרי, שומרי שבת וקורא עונג שבת. תכן למעשה בראשית שבת. תכן למעשה בראשית שבת. ישמחו במלכותך, שומרי, שומרי, שומרי שבת וקורא עונג שבת. ישמחו במלכותך, שומרי, שומרי, שומרי שבת וקורא עונג שבת. Page 71, I invite you to rise, those of you that are able. And we have an opportunity for our standing prayer to think about the most important things in our life, to say the necessary prayers. If you want to follow along, it goes through page 85, or just to your own thoughts or poetry or whatever's here. Find your center, and whenever you're ready, you may be seated.
Shalom bimroma, Huyase Shalom Aleinu. Ose Shalom bimroma, Huyase Shalom Aleinu. Ose Shalom bimroma, Huyase Shalom Aleinu. Yase Shalom, Yase Shalom. Shalom Aleinu, Be'ako Yisrael. Yaseh Shalom, Yaseh Shalom. Shalom Aleinu, Be'ako Yisrael. Yaseh Shalom b'Roma, Yaseh Shalom Aleinu. Yaseh Shalom b'Roma, Yaseh Shalom Aleinu. Yaseh Shalom b'Roma, Yaseh Shalom Aleinu. Yaseh Shalom, Yaseh Shalom. Shalom Aleinu, Be'ako Yisrael. 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 Yaseh Shalom, Yaseh Shalom. Shalom Aleinu, Be'ako Yisrael.
So I don't know, maybe we should invite you guys to come down a little bit. Is that, would you want to stay out? We're going to have.
Oh, well, yeah, well, maybe we'll stay here if it's okay?
Oh, yeah, sure,
Okay,
sure. So this week we learn about the building of the tabernacle, which if we think building Shir Shalom took a lot of work, building the tabernacle was an immense project that seemed impossible. You had to build it out of nothing with very little building materials and make something that would sparkle. And they had their own way of organizing with Moses. But if we were going to go back in time and take our organization today and put it all the way back into Moses' time, I know there would be one group that's not mentioned inside of our, it's not mentioned inside the Torah because it's a new invention, but it most assuredly would have taken the lead in whatever project they had, and certainly building something as beautiful as the tabernacle. And if we were going to think in our own synagogue of what that group would be that takes care of the nitty-gritty and brings life to things and creates, it is the youth group. I think the youth group is really that wonderful group, a collection of young men and women that have a purpose and create beautiful things together and help make the community better. And there is usually a very short time frame for a youth group, head of a youth group, a youth director, because life happens, and often it's a part-time position, and often it's hard to have people and have stability. So we have been very blessed these last 6 years to have Shiri, who jumped in full throttle and really brought it to life in such beautiful ways, from making Hamantashen, making the Purim Carnival, to many, many, many different events, high holiday preparation and food bags, so many different things, overnights, and just it's been quite amazing to see whole troops of young people come and contribute, and it's because of the director. So I'd like to bring up Shiri, and I'd like to bring up our synagogue president, Bruce Corris, who has something for her.
Hi. You've been up on this beam a few times?
Yes.
How old were you the first time?
I don't know. I must have been like kindergarten or
Yeah.
something. Yeah.
So Shiri grew up in this temple. And, hang on a second. Yeah, there we go. So Shiri grew up in this temple. And when you were younger, were you in the youth group?
Yeah.
And when we asked Shiri to bring back our youth group, she didn't hesitate. She said, yes, I'll take on that challenge. And it started slow. I think the first meeting was you, maybe 2 kids.
Yeah.
The bonfire was kind of tough that year. There was a lot of work for the 3 of you. But she's built it, and over these last 6 years, we've had so many kids who have come through our youth group and have gone on to, whether it's college or working or helping in our community. You've had a profound impact on all of them. And we want to thank you for that. And we want to thank Dan and Ganilla Kester for bringing us Shiri. Because if it weren't for you guys, we wouldn't have had you. We have a plaque for you. We'd like you to have this. I'm going to read from it. It's got today's date on it. On this 28th day of February, 2020, this is to certify that the above named, and it says Youth Group Leadership Award, Shiri Kester. Certify that the above named is recognized for her commitment to our temple youth group, Starry. The award is given to honor an individual who exemplifies extraordinary leadership and dedication to Congregation Shir Shalom's youth group. We are grateful for your dedication, creativity, and spirit in sharing the love of Judaism with our youth. And I signed it. Well, I didn't really sign it. They put my signature on it. We appreciate everything that you've done, and we know this isn't goodbye. You're going to be part of us for a very long time. You're moving on to bigger and better things, and you're going to be hanging around here for a long time. We're so grateful for everything that you've done for our youth group. And I know he said not to, but I'm going to give you a hug.
Thank you.
Mazel tov.
Thank you.
Here's the plastic thing to put over the plaque to protect it.
Oh, and we have flowers.
Oh, look at this.
We have flowers. It has been a pleasure working with you, always with a smile on your face and always with kindness.
Thank you.
Mazel.
The really cool thing that when Shiri, I hope when you look back, because she was our first youth director here at Shir Shalom, and I think she even helped to name the youth group, Starry. So she will look back in 50 years when there's a whole new set, and she'll say, I helped start that thing. So Mazel Tov, Shiri, and thank you for being with us tonight, and we wish you only continued success. She will be helping out with the current Purim Carnival coming up next week, but we know she's going to do amazing things, and if you haven't seen her photography, it's amazing. So we have another guest with us today who's been sitting. Well, I'm really curious to hear. I'd like to bring up Max Donatelli. And he's someone I've gotten to know over the last couple of months, I guess. I was introduced by a synagogue member, Glenn Goldman, and he said, "I have my friend Max, and I'd like you to meet him." And we arranged a time, and I was really blown away with the level of work that he's done and commitment to issues that I care deeply about. Helping to found an organization that he'll share more about, End the Stigma. It has to do with mental illness and all the different capacities, and making sure that there shouldn't be a stigma attached. It's hard enough to face things in our lives. Some 20%, I think, in the Jewish world have some form of chronic illness, and it's really not something to be taken lightly. And if we can just kind of release, personally, I think if we can release a little of the sadness that comes with that, I think it goes a long way. So he and I thought maybe we'd have a little conversation Do you want to tell us a little bit about yourself and about the group itself?
Sure. Yeah, I'll talk about, first of all, I'm a retired professional in the human services. I worked with Baker Victory Services in Lackawanna for many years. Retired at having served 42 years working with high-risk youth and families. I also have a son with developmental disabilities, Craig Donatelli, and we have a very connection to the Jewish community because our very good friends Howard and Valerie Rosenhock, who passed away unfortunately more than a year ago. Our son and their son, David, and our son Craig are honorary brothers. And one of the things that Craig always says when has been introduced, and he talks about his honorary brother David, is he said that while we're Catholics, that Craig feels he's part Jewish, and so he always makes that claim, and and we also have very good friends that are Jewish. I've always felt very close to the number of families that we've worked with over the years, very committed to working in the human services. Vicki Rubin, for example, who's not here tonight, her mom just passed away. And, so we have some real good connections. And so I'm very honored to be here tonight and really appreciate that. My history in working with the human services and having worked with high-risk needs kids and families, really has helped to drive me to, in my retirement, to be a part of a group that was started about 3.5 years ago. A very good friend of mine from that I got to know during Leadership Buffalo, when I went through it in 2000, her son died by suicide. And we had a meeting, a project that we had to do for another organization. And one of the things that she offered that might be something that we could do to have an impact on our community was to do something about the stigma of mental illness. She felt that her son, if it were not for the stigma when he was going from the child caring system to the adult serving system, if that stigma wasn't there or could have been decreased, he might still be alive today. So what we're trying to do is to reach those that are suffering and end silence. We're trying to be able to, through our join the conversation is the tagline, so I really appreciated when you said that we have a conversation. That's really the conversation that we're trying to do within our community here in Erie County. We have some very generous funders that have helped us, Erie County being one of them. They've been very supportive. The Peter and Elizabeth Tower Foundation and also the Patrick P. Lee Foundation have been very generous in helping fund us through these past several years. I have brochures that I'd like to hand out at the end of this, and also I do have some mental health guides for those people that may be more interested. I also have those, and I have more in the car if I need more. So I'm also a Vietnam veteran. It's another population that has gone through some very serious issues of post-traumatic stress syndrome and other issues. So I'm also very involved with veterans organizations as well. But I will talk, specifically about our Anti-Stigma Coalition. There's 16 organizations that have gotten together, and we've expanded. And actually, I've asked Rabbi Alex if Shir Shalom could be an organizational member of our group, of our coalition that is really trying to work on dealing with the stigma of mental illness. We have a website, letstalkstigma.org, which is on our brochure, and it has people that have lived experiences living with mental illness, and they talk about the stigma issues that really prevented them from getting help, but they did get help. We're trying to more normalize it when friends of ours or family members start talking about things that may be certain kind of red flags that they may need help. We're really trying to help prepare the community for being more conscious of it. We're asking people that are on our website to take a pledge, because words can be so powerful. So many times I think we're, and myself included, careless about how we talk about mental illness, saying that person's crazy, that person's out of their mind, and things like that can be very stigmatizing. And what we're trying to do is in our normal conversations when we're talking about those issues, to be sensitive to the fact that somebody that you're talking about within your group may be experiencing some real pain. And it may be something that you say that really either could open the door for them getting help, or it may be one that's really closing it off, that really could be preventing them from being able to share more of what's going on inside. And so we're really trying to help to open some of those doors.
Well, just since we're having a conversation, and it's including you guys, just by show of hands, in your family, and you can determine how extended that is, or friendship network, how many of you have encountered someone who's suffering from kind of a chronic mental illness or?
Probably most.
Wow.
So it's touched many people, so people are familiar with it, and I think how we help those people and how we really get through to those people is something that's really been a kind of a real, something I've really tried to help with, and working with other people that are very, very similarly committed to that, because it's, having worked with high-risk kids and families, many of those kids that I've worked with could have been helped a lot earlier and would have needed a lot less support. So we're also very, very much wanting to get it as early as possible,
Right. I mean, you mentioned they, but of course, any gathering are people that are suffering significantly. I know within our synagogue community and extended family, it's one of the things that I worry the most about. And I think part of it is the stigma.
Yes.
I wonder, why do you think that we're so afraid of sharing and enabling people to have more of a support system around them?
Well, I think that there's a great deal of perceived shame, embarrassment, feeling that you're going to be weak or less than. Having served in the military, I do difficult for people to talk about those kinds of issues, particularly men, but also women. Because of feeling, if you feel exposed, if you say, I have an issue, I have a problem with depression, or I have a problem with anxiety, or those kind of things that I might need to have a professional. They also separate it very much from the medical profession, because it really is and really should be under the big tent of medical, because it is really a brain disorder, and it's something also that people can become very, very successful, getting the kind of help and the support they need. And if people feel that they would say something about it, that it may really hurt their future. In fact, it can really much help their future if they get the right kind of help from the right kind of people that provide that kind of support.
Yeah, I mean, I think a couple of things. First of all, obviously, it could have an effect on your relationships with people. People feel very vulnerable, and for good reason, because it really has that effect, and it could professionally as well. I think one of the things also that hangs in the air is obviously it's huge category, and part of the reason why so many hands shut up is because it could affect so many different types of conditions. And one of the things that when I met with you and working with Glenn, who's also really been open about his own struggles and trying to communicate them to others, is that people don't understand the complexity of the different types of conditions people could have.
Right.
And they don't really know what to do when an incident occurs. Because, we want to be so much in control. We want to feel like we're whole in the sense that we don't walk around broken in this world. But we know there are many times in our life, I can't imagine there isn't someone, there's someone who exists that doesn't feel broken at times. And when you have a mental condition, it might be times that are unpredictable, and it might come up in unusual ways. It's about kind of training. So how do we help people know how to even respond?
Well, I think that one of the things that and you mentioned broken, and I think that's that I think people feel that when they finally, and vulnerable, when they first identify that maybe they do need the help and that they may need to reach out to somebody. But I think that one of the things that I thought was very powerful, a friend of mine who I've gotten to know very well through the veterans group, he's a person that suffered in Vietnam with peace. He has post-traumatic stress disorder. And one of the things that he said that, his tagline on when he signs his name, besides the fact that he's got a doctorate in psychology and he's a U.S. Marine Corps veteran, is, "I'm not broken, I'm changed." And one of the things that I thought was very powerful, it took him literally, and he's written we do have a newsletter that comes out every month, and we have a lot of tips and a lot of things in our newsletter, if you sign up for our newsletter, that can help for the different kinds of different mental illness that's there, and we have people who address those kind of issues. And I think just being able to be present for somebody, trying not to be judgmental, trying to be open to allowing somebody to share and to listen. I think one of the things that I've learned, having been a therapist and working with high needs kids and high needs families, is being able to listen. And I think sometimes the openness, the compassion, it can be really felt. I think that sometimes we are too much in the business, so to speak, of wanting to fix somebody. That, well, if you tried this, or have you done this, or have you done that? It's better to let them talk more and let them express more of maybe where they're at, and trying to use different things that may kind of reflect, to listen to what they have to say if they're really experiencing some issues, or you may judge that they may be experiencing some kind of an issue, and to just be there and to be present and to be a friend, and or a family member, or both, but being able to be open and being able to be present, and being there that they can come back to you and talk to you more about it, and it's not going to freak you out. In some ways, I think sometimes here that they may be having an experience, and you make it kind of, well, I don't know if I want to really talk about that, but you have to also be in the spot of being able to want to be and have the time to be able to do it. And if you don't have the time, let somebody know you don't have the time, but to circle back and to say, we can talk about this at another time when it's more convenient for them and more convenient for yourself.
Yeah, I mean, I think the other component, and then I want to open it up a little bit, is that in society, the social service network is really poor. It's been very frustrating to me in general that there's really not a lot of for help, and that's why I was so glad to hear about End the Stigma, because at least, we're so much better when we can help each other. And when someone is in a crisis, whatever type of crisis, it incapacitates, there's a lot of confusion and fear, and we don't have a lot. What do you know of that is available, and why is our social service network so bad?
Well, I think there's a number of different levels of issues that are there. I think first of all is that we are trying through our Join the Conversation and Let's Talk Stigma.org. What we're trying to do is to bring organizations together. We do work with crisis services, which is at the far end. Crisis services was one of the first ones that came on board. Jessica Pirro is the CEO. And we are trying to get people not to get to the point of crisis. I mean, we're really trying to get people in spots where the problems are less, the issues are more manageable. And I think the other thing is that I think we do have, I differ somewhat that we do have a good human services network, but you need to know, or at least get some help navigating that network. And, and that's one of the things that I've really been very fortunate and have worked with, that I worked with the Baker Victory in the past, is being able to develop a network. I got a call literally today from a family, literally. Their son's, young man, so it's their grandson, is really having serious problems. And so I get those calls fairly frequently, and what I'll do is I'll ask a number of questions, and I think sometimes, the initial contact with the Human Services Agency is something that's very important, and so I think that that's where, where it's sometimes it's a, where the system can break down some, getting passed from person to person. So it can, I think a lot of it has to do with the people, knowing the people, and, and certainly, with our group, we'll definitely share a lot of those different agencies, and for each one of those agencies, I have personal contact and know people within those organizations, and that can be very, very helpful.
So why don't we just, if you have questions, we have some experts among us, I'm sure. There are a lot of people within our community that are also part of social service network and care teams. So if you have something either you would like to add or you want to ask a question, just raise your hand. Oh, we have a bunch of experts. See? I know it can be pretty intimidated to talk. Yeah, thank you, Harvey.
They used to blame the murders, the shootings, the killings in workplace and synagogues and churches on radical Islamists. And now they're saying that the domestic terrorism that we have in this country now cannot be blamed on radical Islamists, but rather mentally ill people.
Let me just repeat, because we have people that can. So Harvey said that they used to blame, these terrible incidents that occur on radical Islamists. Now they blame it often on mental illness.
Yeah. And I think that that's one of the, I think to some extent there is some truth to that. Unfortunately, that's part of what holds people back from identifying that they have a mental illness, because they don't want to be put in the same category as somebody that could be violent or that is violent. And really, of the people that are mentally ill, the statistic that I last saw, about only 4% of the individuals that commit those kinds of crimes are ones truly that have mental illness. Many of them have other kinds of issues, of anger issues, of a variety of different kinds of issues, white nationalists and so on, that don't necessarily have mental health issues, but they do have other kinds of issues that cause them to use that kind of violence. And unfortunately, the mental illness label gets put on them, which really then inhibits people from saying, I've got a mental illness. For the longest time, honestly, I was not afraid, but I was really hesitant to say I'm a Vietnam veteran. Because think about, what initially, many times Vietnam veterans were characterized as those that could be, go have PTSD and have, could go off at any point in time. So it's that labeling sometimes that really hurts and affects people from really coming forward and saying that they have a mental illness, or they have an anxiety disorder, they have whatever we might term it. In the back, Mike?
What steps do you suggest we take both in synagogues and other spaces we occupy to change the culture so there isn't stigmatization of folks?
And that's Mike Steckblock,
Yes,
our
Mike,
new,
I met Mike,
our
yes,
new
I did.
youth advisor for the whole community.
Yes, well, it's an excellent question, and doing what you're doing right now. I think what Rabbi Alex has done is to open up the door for this kind of a conversation. And again, I had to come a little bit out of my comfort zone to attend a service. However, I was very pleased with the music and the sharing here. But I think being able to talk about it more openly, whether it's in a youth group, whether it's in some kind of a social group, but being able to have the conversation there, with people that have experience with it. We have people that have lived experience with mental illness that talk to to others as a part of the work that we're doing. We have people that are on our website, that we've had commercials. We have, there's a lot of things that we've tried to do to get this conversation going. And again, I feel so honored to be able to share that here. But I think you're doing what needs to be done is you're keeping that conversation open and you're letting people share about that.
I appreciate you saying that, and I think, honestly, we need to do more by having exactly someone like yourself just talking about it and making it okay to say, to talk, to learn the language, and to know, I know we're a caring community here, but, it's really complex, the issues that we face. So what I'm going to suggest is Max is going to be, we have what we call an oneg, which is like a sweetness after our service. I hope that you'll join us. We'll probably bring Max back in another capacity. I know Dan Kester is here, so we'll see if we can get you back for a more longer form. But this is the beginning of a conversation, and we're so blessed to have someone like you. So thank you for trusting us and coming to a synagogue service. What did you think? It's okay?
No, I thought it was, because
A lot of Hebrew.
I've been to bar mitzvahs, with David, and I've been to, unfortunately, the funerals, and, but it's, but I really appreciate it. I feel very honored to be able to join you tonight, so thank you.
Thank you. The honor is ours, so thank you. So we're gonna turn now to our healing prayer. I don't know if you guys want to come back up. What we'll do, and I think we think about often bodily illness, but obviously it extends to many different layers of pain and suffering. And so when we have our list today, I'm going to read it out loud, and I'm going to go around. And, even if it's for yourself, I want you to say that prayer silently if you don't feel comfortable saying it out loud. And I want us to really focus our attention particularly to those among us and those in our family units and ourselves maybe that are suffering silently. And let's try to really send healing energy in that direction. The healing prayer, by the way, is on page 81 in the prayer book. We're thinking about, as a community, Chad Ayers, Jeffrey Brody, Vivian Burstein, Peter Coyle, Kathy and Chris Crawford, Bobby DeBruin, Marwin Feldman, Greg Hill, Erica Horowitz, Charlotte Krebs, Marcy Leonard, Cindy Lieber, Diane Lynch, Cindy McCulick, David Parizo, Larry Perlitz, Mickey Savitt, Mohan Shechia, Carol Silverman, Howard Smallin, Flora Snee, Laura Spire, Shannon Stickles, Andy Wozniak, Andrew Zubak, Avram Ben Moshe, Sarah Bat Chaya, Malka Bat Naftali. We'll go around, and if you have other names.
Ava Hatala and Marge Sisti.
And Avi Sturman as well. Let's bring all those names into our hearts, both the ones that were said and the ones that were silent, the ones among us and the ones that are in our loving networks of people. And let's sing together the words from Debbie Friedman.
Thank you.
body and soul. Let's turn to page 93, and we're going to read together responsively. It's one of my favorite readings and affirmation that we can do anything. We just rarely get to it in the prayer book, so responsively. We cannot merely pray to you, O God, to end war, for we know that you have made this world in such a way that people must find their own path to peace within themselves and with their neighbors. We cannot merely pray to you, O God, to end starvation, for you have already given us the resources with which to feed the entire world, if we would only use them wisely. We cannot merely pray to you, O God, to root out prejudice, for you have already given us eyes with which to see the good in all people, if we would only use them rightly. We cannot merely pray to you, O God, to end despair, for you have already given us the power to clear away slums and to give hope, if we would only use our power justly. We cannot merely pray to you, O God, to end disease, for you have already given us great minds with which to search out cures and healings, if we would only use them constructively. Therefore, we pray to you instead, O God, for strength, determination, and willpower, to do instead of just to pray, to become instead of merely to wish. I invite you to rise on 94 for the Aleinu. It's at the top of the page. And thank you. You read my mind, Bruce. Thank you.
עלינו לשבח לדון הכל, לתת גדולה ליוצר בראשית, שלא עשנו כגויי הארצות, ולא סבנו כמשפחות האדמה, שלא שם חלקנו כהם, וגורלנו ככל המונם. אנחנו קוראים ומשתחווים ומודים לפני מלך מלכי המלכים הקדוש ברוך הוא.
Page 96 on the bottom.
ונאמר והיה אדוני למלך על כל הארץ. היום ההוא יהיה אדוני אחד, ושמו
You may be seated. Lately, I've been exchanging poetry with our wonderful poetess, Gunilla Kester, and she always amazes me what she sends, and has such meaning and depth, and her beautiful way of reading it as well. So I asked her to read a poem that she wrote in dedication to her sister of blessed memory. I'd like to invite her up. So it's your choice. Sometimes I like to stand on here, but if you feel more comfortable, I'll push it in. Okay. Sometimes you can see people better.
So this is a poem I'm writing. It's not, I don't think it's, but I did write it this week. We don't know the yahrzeit of my sister, and it's always troubling at this time. It's called A Window Open, a blank page. We'll never know what day my sister died. She lay dead in bed, dog next to her very much alive, ready for some loving food, a walk, some air, sniffing, smelling, tasty living for a change. But a mere 40 miles away, our mother claims to know the date, because the photo of my sister on the wall above the piano fell to the floor with a clatter. Glass breaking, frame came apart. a younger sister's smile in the mess. Yet string and nail were intact, unbroken. Some things cannot be framed, my mother said in her dark, mahogany voice. I, who stay a good 4,000 miles away, had no warning. Grief made me pull away. No more friendly cat cards, no calls. They swallowed my silence like good patients take bitter medicine. Even though now everyone is new and other, nothing really changed.
What's your sister's name? We'll include it on our list tonight. Laura? Oh, Clara. Clara. So let's think about Clara, and we'll consider this her yard site then. We're also remembering those in our community that died recently: Dorothea Brooks, Ray Heller, Murray Soroka, and Richard Sperling. From this past month, we remember Sally Bass, Meredith Reed Cartman, Jenny Lou Corus, Ellen Markle, Diane Schlanger, Erwin Schreiber, Richard J. Tucker, Sr., Adrian Weiner, and Paul Zimmerman. From years past, we remember Donald Adler, Reba Arbit, Elias Baum, Lenora Baum, Max Bell, Joseph Bleichfeld, Evelyn S. Eber, Simon Eisdorfer, Harry S. Eisner, Laura Fagan, Dave Feld, Leo Feld, Harold Fink, Isidore Fox, Blanche Greenman, Joseph Gugino, Jane Jacoby, Rose Kaiser, Ida Kellick, Gloria Klein, Judy Klipstein, Rose Kramer, Vivian Krieger, Alice Crone, Sarah Krupnick, Harry Lipman, Rose Lipman, Evelyn B. Liss, Murray Mackler, Julius Mandel, Frida Schwartz Mango, David Mesh, Nathan Mesnikoff, Louis Michnick, Jack Miller, Kenneth L. Miller, Lena Middleman, David Milanarski, Sarah Nyman, Wilbert Nusanov, Benjamin Rosenberg, Paul Rosenthal, Beatrice Rothstein, David Rubin, Joe Siegel, Ed Seitz, Lester Strauss, Dr. Hyman Tuski, Gloria Weinstein, Harry Wexler. We're going to go around, and if you have other names of people that you'd like to raise your hand.
Richard Siegel, Cortez Goldstein, Lisa Isaac.
We take all those names into our hearts as we turn to the mourner's Kaddish. Well, I'm going to find the one that's closest to where we are right now in the prayer book. 98. Thank you. Page 98. Those of you whose custom it is to rise. Yitkadal v'yitkadash shemei rabah v'alma divrach hirete v'amlich malchute v'chayechon v'yomechon v'chayed echol be Yisrael v'agalav v'isman kariv v'yimru amen. Yehei shmei rabah v'rach le'olam olmei olmaya yitbarak v'yishtabak v'yitpa'ar v'yitramam v'yitnaseh v'yitadar v'yitalev v'yitalal shmei dekudasha b'rechu Leila min kol birchata v'shirata, tush bechata v'nechamata, damiran bi'alma v'yimaru, amen. Yehi shlam rabba min shemaya, v'chaim aleinu v'al kol Yisrael v'yimaru, amen. Oseh shalom v'ramav, hu yaseh shalom, aleinu v'al kol Yisrael v'yimaru, amen. May the one who makes the peace in high heaven send peace to us and to all Israel and to all the world, and we say, amen. Zikranam livracha, may the lights of our life, those that we think about who sparkle today, may they continue to be blessings for us and for this world, and we say, amen. You may be seated. I'd like to invite Bruce Chorus up to offer our announcements.
Shabbat Shalom. Mazel Tov, and thank you to Shiri Kester for your dedication and leadership of our youth group. We will miss you, but you're not leaving us. You're just kind of taking a little step backward. And we are so grateful for the 6 years that you have led our youth group. Thank you to Max Donatelli for being with us tonight and starting a conversation and taking part in that tonight. And it is a conversation that I know we will be continuing. Thank you. Special thank you, of course, to Rabbi Alex, Cantor Frank, and our pop-up Tis Merit band, pulled in at the last minute. Nice musical service tonight. Very, very nice. We would also like to thank, obviously, Marina Finkelstein, our membership committee, for pulling off a wonderful chili potluck this evening. Thank you to Mark Finkelstein, Robert Altman, Joanne Marquez, and Gunilla Kester for making chili. Thank you to everyone who brought stuff and everyone who helped. It was a lot of fun. Max, we eat well at this temple. We eat often and we eat well. It was really, really good. Next time we're all going to be dining together in a large group like that will be our pre-Passover Pasta Plus party. That will be on Saturday, March 21st, save the date, before we enter into Passover and have to give up all those pastas and breads and all that other stuff. We're going to have a spaghetti dinner here and other good stuff too. That's coming up on March 21st. Well, I'm not done. That's the next big dinner.
Why did I have that down in my calendar for the 27th or something like that? The last week.
Saturday, March 21st, right?
21st?
Yeah.
That's good. You changed it? Oh, good.
Oh, we couldn't
Now
have
I
it
could
during
make it.
Passover, could
I
we?
couldn't make the other one. Okay.
We couldn't do it during Passover. What? All right. Don't read the Jewish Review. Mike, when you get back at the office tomorrow, tell them I told them that. Anyway, busy weekend. Tomorrow morning, Torah study, 9 o'clock, followed by the Shabbat morning service, 10:45. Purim Spiel rehearsal, 2 o'clock?
Yes.
2 o'clock Sunday afternoon. Purim Spiel, that's coming up. I'll have a little bit more about that. Bingo Monday night, 7:30. Doors open at 6:30. We can always use a new volunteer or two. Please join us. The second session of the Interfaith program with Rabbi Alex and Bill Hennessy, Rabbi Alex and Reverend Bill Hennessy of North Presbyterian Church will be held Wednesday morning, 10:30 at North Presbyterian. There's a flyer outside the sanctuary. Next Friday night, another jam-packed Shabbat. We have 5:45 Tot Shabbat with PJ Library, regular service at 7 o'clock, but that will also include Kabbalat Torah, where the 7th graders will pass down Torah portions to the 6th graders, which is always a lot of fun. UB Hillel students will be joining us and participating in the service, and of course, an Onig is following. Purim, that Friday night is kicking off Purim weekend, which is, forget Super Bowl weekend. Purim weekend is much bigger. So on that service Friday night, rumor has it there will be a song or two from our Purim Spiel Megillah Mia featuring Purim Spiel players. And this year it is an extremely funny and extremely musical show. And our music director over there has just cracked the whip on us and has turned a group of really not so great singers into a group of really okay singers. No, I'm kidding. It's going to be a lot of fun. It's a funny show, and the Purim Spiel will be a week from Monday, starting with a pizza dinner at 6 o'clock, and then the Megillah starts promptly at 7 o'clock. It is not starting on temple time this year. It is starting on time at 7 o'clock.
Oh, it's starting with the show.
The show starts at 7.
So if you come late, then you miss, the beginning of the show. That's hard to catch up with.
Right. We are starting right on time this year. And then the day before that, a week from this Sunday, is the Purim Carnival, which we already mentioned. That's here in our building, and that is Shiri's youth group swan song. So please join us for that. That will also be a lot of fun. Then on Sunday, March 15th, we have a comedy night at Rob's Comedy Playhouse with our very own Rob Lederman and comedian Eric Newman from Comedy Central. Please join us. There are still some tickets available for that. Do not bring the kids. This is adult comedy. It's a lot of fun. No kids. Not even you. You can bring your mother, but no kids.
And no
We are still
squeamish.
selling Delta Sonic car wash tickets for the car washes and the interior cleaning. They're deeply discounted. They make a great gift, and the proceeds will benefit our religious school. There's still time to vote in the U.S. election to the 38th World Zionist Congress. There's information on that outside the sanctuary. If you have any questions about that, please talk to Rabbi Alex or Joanne. We would like to wish all of you Shabbat Shalom. Thank you. Where are Mark and Sue? There's Sue. Mark's up here. Thank you to Mark Nightinger and Sue Hill for serving as our service greeters tonight. Thank you to Elaine Kellick from the Women of Shir Shalom for helping with our onig. Please join us in the social hall. We've been eating all night, and we're not stopping now. Good stuff for the onig. Shabbat Shalom, everyone.
All right, and I have something for you over here, okay? Just so you
The
don't.
ceremonial handoff.
Okay, this is not my chicken wing. That's for you.
For the spiel.
I don't want that
I
to
told
get
him,
lost.
I told him I was
Yeah.
going to fight him over it. But
Yeah. Don't
Purim's
worry,
good.
I told him I don't need it.
There we go. It happened again.
I have not had a buffalo wing yet.
There
Yeah,
are-
that's the other part. It takes off your kippah. It's
There you
true.
go. There are numerous chicken wing references in this year's spiel. It's a lot of fun.
I can't believe it's almost Purim. It's crazy.
Oh.
Okay, so we're going to turn to Hine Matov, which is on page 6 in your prayer book. So a lot of you are familiar from Psalm 131.
Yeah, we did it very, very early when you guys were sitting down, so you'd know it by the end here. And then after the rabbi does the motzi, right after the song, we're going to be performing a piece from an upcoming service that we're working on with the whole of Tizmeret. It's called Osei Shal Om. Om. And it's a spiritual service, and we will be doing an Osei Shalom that we've been working on for this particular service. And if while you're walking out, or if you stay around for just, about 30 seconds, you'll hear bits and pieces of it. So just plugging for Osei Shalom. So Hine Matov, everybody knows it. Sing along, please. 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4. Hine Matov, umanai, shevet achim, raham yachad. Try with us. Hine Matov, umanai, shevet achim, raham yachad.
Ata Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam hamotzi lechem min haaretz. Amen. As you came in peace, may you leave in peace, and please return your prayer book minus the leaflet to the front of the sanctuary. Shabbat shalom.
Oseh shalom, 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 oseh shalom. Oseh shalom, oseh shalom, oseh shalom.